have to look at the consequence of taking money out of your 401k or your IRAs. What does it cost you in taxes to get it? If it's a $100,000 mortgage, I'm going to pull out $120,000, pay taxes to put $100,000 in my mortgage to get rid of my mortgage. Well, that's a whole different equation because I just added $20,000 to my mortgage.
To debt or not to debt? That is the question that many Americans have. I think particularly as you get closer to retirement. I mean, what are your thoughts on this space?
The rules for a long time was don't carry debt into retirement. The reason being, what was the average mortgage rate going into retirement? Well, for a long time, it was in the teens, then it was high single digits, then it was 6 or 7% or 5%. But for those who refinanced or purchased back in like 2021, 2020, right around there, when we hit historically low interest rates, those interest rates will probably never come back around. And your interest rate is deductible up to a certain percentage. Should you keep a mortgage that's at 3% and leave money in the market that can earn you 7, 8, 9, 10%? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a really solid case for that. And so we've always used the rule of 50%. If I can safely, comfortably, consistently get 50% better than what my rate is, then I should leave it in the market. Because that's one of the questions that people ask all the time. Hey, getting ready to retire, should I take money from my 401k, pay off my house? That way I don't carry any debt in retirement and nobody can ever take my home from me. That's a very fair thought process and a very fair equation to weigh out.
Quick math on that. If you have a mortgage rate of 3%, but you can get 6% in the market, leave the money in the market.
So our rule would be 50% better, right? So it'd be like 4.5%. If you have a 3% mortgage, can you safely, comfortably, consistently get 4.5% or better in the market? Well, yeah, you can. Okay, then you should do it. If you have a 6% mortgage, can I safely, comfortably, consistently get 9% in the market? The market will do 9 to 10%, but you have to ride the S&P wave a little bit. Okay, I have a 7.5 or 8% mortgage I got in 2024. That's a tough number because now you're asking for 12%, 12 to 13% from the market safely, consistently, and reproducibly. That's going to be way harder, and you should get rid of the debt. I think 4% is a good place to start saying, hey, above 4%, it's a maybe, but also you have to look at the consequence of taking money out of your 401k or your IRAs. What does it cost you in taxes to get it? If it's a $100,000 mortgage, I'm going to pull out $120,000, pay taxes to put $100,000 in my mortgage to get rid of my mortgage. Well, that's a whole different equation because I just added $20,000 to my mortgage and now probably more taxes to my Social Security that year. If you are deducting the mortgage interest, and if you are not paying you're not paying taxes on it anyways, you may want to consider keeping it. There are good forms of debt, and we've got some rules of thumb here. Low interest, tax advantage debt, like mortgages, home equity loans, may be worth keeping if the interest rate is lower than your expected investment returns. Bad debt. There is nothing positive about debt that's high cost, isn't tax deductible, and is taken to buy an asset that will likely depreciate. Nerdy conversation, but it's basically saying my house goes up in value all the time. It can come down for a season, but over time it will go up again. So it's an appreciating asset. It's growing, it's doing better. And so I firmly believe that a house is a good investment. But I listen to some podcasts and I hear them talk about, man, when you're young, if houses are expensive, you should just rent and you should invest money in the market. I hear that too. But the investment keeps going up. A car. If I buy a car, it's the worst stock you'll ever purchase because the day you buy it, it drops by 10% to 15%. And then it'll never be worth what you bought it for again. So we can't look at a car as a good asset. So if you have high interest on a depreciating asset like a car, that's a thing you may want to get rid of. Now, a lot of people can't come up with 30 to 50 grand. I mean, 30 grand gets you a small car. When our kids were young, you could get a brand new Dodge Grand Caravan for like 18 grand. Chrysler Town and Countries, the rich people's van, that was like 24 grand to 25 grand, but we weren't rich people. We were young people with young kids, and we were looking for the Dodge Grand Caravan, and thank God my parents gave us one. Now, to get that same car, you need 35, 40 grand. And if you're going into retirement and you say, oh, what am I going to do about my vehicle in retirement? Should I lease? Should I buy? I don't want to carry a loan because car loans they're coming down a little bit right now. I think I can see them in like the mid 4s now. But for a while there, we went through a crazy season where interest rates were crazy high and people were paying over the MSRP for cars. So we bought 2 cars in 2022. Kimberly's car had an issue, so I bought one in January of 2022, and her rate was 2.75%. So that's a good rate on the car, and so we bought it. In October of 2022, we were doing our tax planning for the end of the year, and our tax advisor said, hey, we need to have the company buy a car so it can be used as a depreciation or a tax break. So we did it, but the rate was 7% in October. And it was the same year, the same price car, but a wildly different monthly payment. And that's why we said, all right, we have to accelerate this down and knock it out real quick. If the scenario of being debt-free is out of reach, use a practical goal to pay down bad debt while keeping the good debt working for you. Do I pay down debt or do I Roth convert my investments? Those are both costly things. Well, should I pay off this 9% loan or Roth convert? You probably should pay off the 9% loan. Well, should I pay off my 3% mortgage? Well, take 100 grand and do it. Or should I Roth convert 100 grand and rather than keep the 3% deductible mortgage, but let everything go Roth and be tax-free for the future? So those are some of the strategies that people use and that we look through to say, what type of debt, what is the value, what's the longevity, what's the cost? Those all factor in and those matter. But for people out there, you just need to know this. Me, my money, my time, everything I've done over the past 25, 30 years to build, save, and prepare, make a good informed decision. Don't be sold a decision and understand the consequences of it. So I have no problem if people say, I've got this mortgage, I want to get rid of it. I understand it. And when I sit down with clients and they say, I have no mortgage, and there is a tangible, visceral, real relief on their faces. They say there's certain words that you can't say without smiling.
Yeah.
I feel like I have no mortgage ends with a smile just because of what I see people do over and over again. It always does that. Oh, I have no mortgage. And so now, and their face just lights up. It is such a moment of pride. Like, it's like one of these big things in life that's like, hey, I get to live this new life and no one can take my home. Yeah. And then ironically, if you don't pay your property taxes, but for people though, in real life, it's a great thing to have a debt-free retirement. However, there is a cost to being debt-free and you just want to make sure it's worth it. That's all.
There's a yang to every yang and vice versa. And when it comes to smart money moves, the bottom line is you can read every book, check out every website that says smart money moves. But the parentheses that you might not notice is for you, depending on your unique situation. But of course, at LifePlan Financial Design, you guys working with individuals and couples every single day to figure out what's going to work for those particular families. Please be sure to click on the links we got posted in the show notes, or you can also just go to our website anytime, michigansretirementcoach.com.